Hello and welcome to my guide on how to play as a Dwarven adventurer. So the Dwarven adventures in Anbennar are pretty unique, so even if you played a lot of Europa 4 or you've played a lot of Anbennar, you might be a little lost while playing a Dwarven adventurer. So I thought I would go ahead and make a guide in case anybody wanted to watch it. And so the first thing you want to do when playing as a Dwarven adventurer is obviously you want to pick one of the Dwarven adventures that is near the hold that you want to form. So if you want to form this hold or this hold, you pick one of these two guys. If you want to form this hold or this hold, you probably pick this guy, right? If you don't know what the holds are and like what their theme is and what their missions are like, I also made a video that just does a brief explanation of all the holds, so you can go ahead and go watch that if you don't know which holds you want to form. But if you already know which hold you want to form, you go and you just pick the one that's closest, and then you get in the game. So obviously, your goal as a Dwarven adventurer here is to eventually like migrate to a hold, and then you can actually form your country properly. But I would not just rush straight for a hold right at the beginning of the game, because as a Dwarven adventurer, you have a unique bonus that you want to find these expedition targets, right? And then you migrate to them and you can clear them. They're basically like a dungeon in an RPG, and you get a lot of rewards. You get like a ton of extra monarch power, and you also get a ton of gold. And you can clear these after forming like a full country, but while you're still a one province nation, then you will get some bonuses. First of all, you'll clear them much faster, and second of all, you will be able to find ancient Dwarven knowledge. And you can use the ancient Dwarven knowledge. You can either consume it immediately to get some government reform progress, or you can stockpile it to use it to develop your holds later. I would recommend that you stockpile it because using it to develop your hold is a lot better in my opinion. If you use it to develop your hold, what it does is for each Dwarven knowledge you have, when you develop a hold, you will get 2 points instead of 1 point. And so it can save you a ton of monarch power later on when you're developing your holds. So instead of just rushing for your hold, I would like spend sort of the first like 10 to 20 years just finding these expedition targets and trying to clear them and then go for your hold. So if you want to see where the expedition targets are very easily, all you have to do is go to the trade map mode. By default, you do this by hitting E, or it should be down here. And they'll like pop up. They look like this. It's like, I don't know, a golden pyramid thing or something. And you just want to migrate to them and then you can clear them. Alright, so I've finished migrating to a province that has an expedition target. And so once you're on the province, you go to your decisions menu and you see this expedition menu. You click this and you prepare the expedition, organize the expedition, and you'll get a menu that looks like this. So this might be a little bit overwhelming, but basically the way you work, you put in your manpower and you have morale, organization, and supplies. And if your morale or your supplies goes down to 0 while you're exploring, you will start rapidly losing manpower. And if your manpower hits 0, your expedition will fail. You won't get any rewards. You'll have lost everything you invested in it, and you won't be able to retry the expedition for a year. So you really don't want to be failing in these expeditions. It's sort of like a gambling kind of thing where you want to invest the minimum amount of resources possible to make sure you don't lose it, right? Like, you don't want to just invest all your resources and go like, oh, 10 morale for a short copper danger level expedition, because that would be a huge waste. But you don't want to, you really don't want to invest too little, because then you'll fail in the expedition and you'll have lost everything you invested, and you'll have lost all your men, and you won't be able to redo it for another year. So I'll just give you sort of like a brief explanation of how much you should invest in each of these resources according to me. It depends a lot on the length and the danger level. Personally, I think that the length is much more of an important factor than the danger level. Like, I think a platinum danger, but short length is way easier than like, you know, copper or long. So just keep that in mind too. So for the manpower, basically just send 10,000 men all the time as long as you can afford it. As long as you have 10,000 man to spare for a little bit, then I just do the max. You will get any of the survivors back in your armies after it's finished, so there's just no reason not to do 10,000 men every single time. And for short ones, I would usually go for like uh, maybe like 6 morale. Yeah, like that's probably good for like a golden short length. Organization becomes very important. So if you have zero morale or zero supplies, you'll start rapidly losing men, and eventually you'll lose the you'll have failed your expedition, right? Organization basically just affects the rate at which you lose morale and supplies. But for short length expeditions, I think you should just leave your organization at 100% because it's very expensive to increase it, and supplies and morale are pretty cheap. So, but supplies they like max out at 100, and so for the long expeditions, you don't really have any choice but to start raising your organization to make sure you don't lose your supplies. Because most long expeditions with only 100% supplies, you'll just run out of supplies and you'll die. For medium length, I would go for 100% supplies and a little bit of organization. But for short length, you could probably get away with like 80% supplies most of the time. And for long length, you probably need somewhere between like 140% organization to maybe like 160% if it's like platinum danger and long. And then if it's like platinum danger and long, I'd also just max out the morale to 10, of course. And then there's the party's share. So what the party's share does is you'll get this much less of a ducats reward when you clear it. And so for short, I think you're you just like leave it at 0 because it's not super important. All it really does, all the raising this does is decrease the rate at which your morale decreases. Unlike organization, which affects morale and supplies, this just affects morale. And morale can go all the way up to 10, and it's pretty cheap to buy morale, so I would just say, like, most of the time, just buy more morale. I put this at, like, maybe, like, 100 for medium and long expeditions, but for short expeditions, I just do 0, and I basically never do more than 100, because at that point, you're better off just, like, getting more morale or getting more supplies. And so anyways, for this mission that's gold and short length, I think this is probably good enough, so we just start the expedition. And once you've started the expedition, you just kind of wait. You can close this menu, and you'll just wait. And over time, you'll get a bunch of pop-ups that will explain what's happening, and it'll give you some choices of what to do. And you might either like lose a lot of morale, you'll gain some loot, some of your guys will die. Oh, it's also important to remember not to migrate off of the province while you are still doing an expedition, because that will automatically fail the expedition. So just have some patience and restraint and don't migrate off the province while it's going on. So this is one of the events that appear. You'll be able to check what your stats are like and how far you're through the dungeon, and you'll have some choices. Here's another event. We got the pitch black darkness. And seems like we killed it, and we got some loot and some extra morale, so that's great. Alright, so when your expedition is completed, hopefully you'll not have failed, so you'll get this expedition returns thing, which means you beat the expedition, you fully cleared it, and you have two choices. You can repay them in full and let them rest. This will just like get rid of all the units that you invested, but it'll send the manpower back to your manpower pool, or you can get your units back. Unless you're at your force limits, you probably want to choose the second choice like every time and get your units back. And from clearing it, like I said, we're a one province country right now, so we can get ancient dwarven knowledge from clearing these things. and you have the choice. We got 2 ancient dwarven knowledge, so we can either save it for our holds or just get some government reform progress. I recommend saving it for your holds. Yeah, so we've cleared this expedition, so now we can move on to the next one. This one's silver and short, so we probably don't need to invest a whole lot of resources just to clear it. I think 5.5 should be good. And we'll start another expedition. Alright, another expedition cleared, and we're gonna get our guys back, and we've gotten 367 ducats, as well as 122 of each type of monarch power. So as you can see, like, these expeditions are pretty lucrative. Alright, so we got another expedition here, and it says it's a danger level mithril, which is like the max level danger, but its length is short, and like I said previously, the length is a lot more important than the danger level. So even though it's mithril, I don't think you need to invest like too much resources in this. So we'll maybe just go like 6.5 morale and 100% supply, but we'll just leave the organization at the normal levels. Okay, and so after adventuring for about 20 years or so and clearing some of the expeditions, you will be ready to start migrating back to a hold, and you will be getting a colonist from your tier 2 government reform, and you can also get another colonist from your missions here, and you can form your hold and get your missions and stuff by taking this decision. All you need is to have at least 3 cities by colonizing with those colonists you get, and you need admin tech level 7. Another thing to note is that during your adventures, you don't want to be like taking any provinces, right? Because then you'll lose your ability to migrate. So you don't want to take any provinces before you go back and form your hold. But if you do find like a goblin or orchid adventurer that only has 1 province, what you can do is you can go to war with them, you can annex their province, and then you can use this purge warband decision here, and this will just delete their province, and they'll be deleted from the game, and you'll be back to being a 1 province country that can migrate around, and you'll also get a little bit of extra military and diplo power from it. So anyways, that was the guide. I hope it was helpful for you.